and that means we're going to begin the debate. So, I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves. I'll start with Ken, then go to Peppeghetti, and then Retro after. So, Ken, if you can go ahead and introduce yourself, and then after your introduction, please just answer why should I vote for you, as asked in the chat.
Absolutely. Let me start by thanking you, Bob, for hosting this event, thanking DNN for making this available to the community, and thank you to my opponents for showing up and participating in tonight's debate. I think it's really important that we do this every so often to bring ideas to the community when we have so many new people joining the community as we have this past week. I am Kenlane. I am an independent candidate running for my running mate for air is Sean Box 59. He is also an independent. We both currently sit on the Supreme Court. And you should vote for me because of my policies, because they are good policies that are right for Democraciv. You should vote for me because I'm the right man for the job right now. You should vote for me because I can be the High King that Democracy currently. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ken. Very good. We're going to go ahead and go next to Peppeghetti. Same question, or actually, same introduction, please. If you can just introduce yourself to everybody, your current role in Democraciv, and then why people should vote for you.
Sure. So I'm Peppeghetti. Been playing Democraciv for a year and a bit. Last Mark, I was in a bunch of different government roles. This Mark, I've also been in a bunch of different government roles. Currently the Jarl of the state of Vulcan. So I think you should vote for me because I got tons of Civ 6 experience. I'm real good at the game. I'm pretty good at the game. I'm not that good, but I'm pretty good at the game. Got lots of experience playing the game. Got lots of experience in Democraciv. Got lots of ideas in the big old noggin. Good guy for king.
Fair enough. Very good. And then Retro, same thing. If you can just please introduce yourself, your current role, and then why people should vote for you.
Hi, I'm Retro. Thank you, Bob, for hosting. I'm currently the heir of the Norwegian throne, and I've been streaming the game ever since High King Sean took over in like April or something like that. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So I've been in the trenches for a very long time. Even though I screw up a lot, I did help administer two successful High Kings, and I think it's time for for me to actually take helm and become High King myself.
All right. Very good. Okay. So that gets the preliminary introduction and first question out of the way as to why I should vote for you. And then I'm gonna refer to you guys all as your current roles in the government right now. So, Law Speaker Kenlane, first question, and this is mostly recent, so I'm not entirely sure how everybody's thought about this yet, but we were just declared war upon by multiple civilizations, and I want to know what you plan to do in response to this war. And you have
Well,
two and a half
uh,
minutes starting now.
Thank you for the question. I just want to start by saying that the short term goal should be to replenish our military and build a navy and two fantastic fleets, as I've outlined in my plan. Doing so, though, while at war, would be two countries that are currently still at war with us after actually last session, more than two countries declared war, and our High King managed to make peace with most of them, thankfully. But the two we still need to figure out what we're doing with are Gilgamesh and Montezuma. And Montezuma is just to our north, where you see I want to expand according to my plan. But I really think right now is a time for us to work towards peace. We need to prioritize peace with them. We need to build up our navy. We need to build a northern land army, and we need to uh, restore our military to its sort of might and the strength that it could be. To create strong domestic production to ensure territorial growth. We need to make sure we have the population in the cities to support growth and support ourselves in future wars that we will be dragged into with these people. Because in addition to the two people we're at war with, every other civilization is either neutral or dislikes us right now because of our actions against Russia. It needed to be done. It's good that it's done, but we need to move on from war and position ourselves for the game. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ken. Peppeghetti, do you need the question repeated?
Yes, please.
Okay. The question is we were just declared war upon by multiple civilizations in the last session of the executive. So I'd like to know what your plans are for the war to come. And
All
your
right. So
time starts No.
Nice. So first of all, my heir Tiberius, he will also be acting as the pirate king, and he is going to be taking control of the navy of Norway. So I'll be trusting that to him. I'm fully confident in his abilities, and I think that as far as a land army goes, we have perfectly sufficient number of troops to defend ourselves. I don't think we need to expand our army anymore. We're alone on the continent. We don't have any immediate threats to our land army. Our land army is perfectly sizable. It's comparable to a lot of the other countries that we're talking about. Um, and quite frankly, there's not going to be a large scale war on our continent. So I'm open to the idea of expanding our navy, but I don't think we need to expand our ground force.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. Retro, do you need the question repeated as well?
No, it's fine. You
Okay.
can start whenever.
And you can begin.
All right. So, as with our expedition to Persia shows, our navy is not up to how I say standards compared to the rest of the world. Although our Viking longships did really well against Russia, most of the world has moved on beyond simple ships like those and moved on to caravels, which I fear could get our longships wrecked in future wars. Although I would prioritize making peace and amends with Montezuma and Gilgamesh and focusing on the home front and securing our borders and the continent rather than trying some imperialist expansion to another continent, which we're probably gonna be more in debt trying to secure rather than the stuff we have at home.
All right. Very good. Are you
Yeah,
complete?
yeah,
Okay.
that if that makes sense.
It
That's the
does. Thank you. Okay. Very good answers from each of you. So, the next question. What do you all hope to achieve within the first session of your kingship should you be elected? And again, we'll start with law speaker Kenlane.
That's a very good question. I think the number one priority for me is definitely peace. Definitely modernization of our navy. I agree on that point. I've outlined. I don't think that that happens necessarily within the first session, but that's the direction we're going to be going. And then the other thing is growth. We need to start getting our cities to be larger. We need to found a new city. I'd like to do that in the first session with the and we need to start strategically inside of our cities. So the short term focus has to be on peace, prosperity, and growth within our cities. Growth of the population, growth of the number of cities, and growth in terms of our district output. Something that hasn't come up a lot is we are very far behind on civics and culture. That would be a main focus of my first session as High King, turning around our cultural production so that we can catch to the civilizations that are drastically ahead of us on civics. Uh, I believe that should answer your question.
It did. Thank you very much. And then I will also reset the timer and answer this follow-up question for each of you. You answered your near future plans. What is your plan, or what do you hope to achieve by the end of your term should you be elected? Ken, again, with you, and then we'll ask the same two questions to the other two candidates as well.
I think the direction for the end of the term is a strong, stable civilization that is a world leader in economics, a world leader in science, and a world leader in culture. I'm harping on the culture thing because we are drastically behind on that. We're doing pretty all right with science, but we really need to start producing a lot of um, a lot of districts. We need to produce districts that are going to give us great people at this point in the game, and that is going to be the long-term goal over my first term as your High King. To have a set of cities that are large enough to maintain pressure on each other and put pressure on nearby cities that may be found near us, and also robust enough to create the culture, science, religion, faith that we need to position ourselves for the end game victory scenarios, which we are currently far behind on a few of those fronts with, specifically religion and culture.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that. And Peppeghetti, we'll begin with the first question and then the follow-up. So, starting off, what plans do you have for the future, and what do you see, what do you hope to see by the end of your term, what mark do you hope to make by the end of your first term should you be elected?
Are we starting with the short term or are we starting with the long term?
We're starting with the long term. We just
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah, long term, and
mixing
then
it up.
yeah.
So long term, first priority is getting that wonder built in Tver. It's really important for our religion. Um, so I really want to get our religion kickstarted again. And I'm also really interested in more infrastructure. Like Ken said, we do need more culture generation. So um, theater districts are very important for that. I'm also interested in entertainment districts and campus districts. So just generally getting the infrastructure up to snuff. So since I am less focused on military spending, I think I can uh, help boost our infrastructure.
Wonderful. Okay. Really quickly, I believe I may have messed up on my notes here. Um, Ken, the previous question I asked you was your near future plans, and then what was the question? What was the first and then the second question? I apologize.
You asked near future plans, I believe, first session, and then you asked first term,
Wonderful.
or completed by the end of the term. So near, like one session and then one term is sort of, I think, the way you're trying to break this up.
Wonderful. Okay. Yep. Sounds good. I marked off the wrong thing. Okay. Pep, and then to continue with the question, we'll just do it in the reverse order. So, uh, what are your plans for the end of your first session?
Well, first of all, there's a trade route currently being built in Nidaros, I believe it is. I want to get that over to Tver to get the wonder production going a little faster. Um, and I also do want to start on probably a settler in the capital.
Wonderful. Okay. Give me one moment. Let me get the timer ready for Retro here. Okay, Retro. We're gonna ask you the same question. So, what are your plans for the end of your first session? What do you hope to achieve for your first session, should you be elected?
First session would be one city built and cartography research, so we can start the modernization of our navy, and that's pretty much it. And also probably get Stave Church in Tavere. No, Tavere has a stage. Sure, crap. Yeah, just get started with that wonder that escaping my mind that brings back our religion.
Wonderful. Works for me. Okay. The follow-up question is, what do you hope to achieve, and what mark do you hope to make by the end of your first term, should you be elected?
End of my first term, I hope to see most, if not all, of the continent secured by Norway, as in under Norwegian claims or friendly city-state claims. And I hope to see a modern navy, and I hope to see the religion come back, the Church of Odin specifically.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Um, and now we'll again circle around back to law speaker Kenlane. Um, in your experience, in your specific position in government, so as a law speaker, what will you take from that to your kingship should you be elected? How will the experience transfer over into your new role should you be elected?
Well, certainly, I haven't been a law speaker for very long. I don't believe I have a single opinion out yet, as there have been no cases since I've become law speaker. I function much better outside the system, sometimes throwing stones at it. My two court cases, of course, one suing you when, as a High King when you attacked an independent city, which obviously the court didn't find in my favor for, and then the second one taking on Bird and D Corp for vote buying and how unconstitutional is. I think those more are the experiences that I'll take away. The knowledge I have about how the court functions and thinks right now, I'm going to use to inform myself who I put on the court as High King. I'm also experience I had previously helping you inside the executive during the Russian war uh, as a foreign diplomat to sort of influence my structuring of the executive when I take over. So it's a lot of organizational labor that I think I'm going to be putting into this job. And the organizational labor is something that I haven't necessarily gotten in the court setting, but I've certainly got it from previous executive work, from work inside the casino, and from Marks 4, 3, and 2, where I was active inside of all of those as well. Right now, it seems like a lot of the sorting can be a little bit out of sorts. The court seems to be toothless, and I feel like if I come in and put the right people on the court, I can help fix that. And if I put the right pressure on the sorting, I can help fix that. And that is something that I plan to do while I'm High King.
Wonderful. Thank you for the answer there. Um, Current Jarl Peppeghetti, what will you take from your experience as Jarl and other government positions that you previously held to the executive?
Well, first of all, the position of Jarl is the skills pretty directly translate since the High King is also the Jarl of the capital state. So those skills transfer in a pretty linear, direct, intuitive way. But just generally speaking, being Jarl, I've been watching the game closer than I think a lot of people have been. Um, so that gives me a sort of a better idea of the current state that everything's in. So I think that'll help me to improve from there.
Wonderful. Thank you. And then current Air King Retro, your experience and your government positions, namely Air King, what will you use from that experience to bring to the executive?
Well, since I've been physically playing the game since game session 4, I think I bring in the experience from guiding our nation since before the Russo-Norwegian War we had, and basically a continuation of your uh, administration.
Wonderful. Okay. Um, so we have that. And then I'd just like to ask each of you in the same order, what sets you apart from the other candidates that are currently here? You're all great candidates, but there's certainly some reason that you seem to believe that you are better than the other candidate, and I'd like to hear what you think that is, starting with Kenlane.
Well, actually, there's a lot that sets me apart. For starters, some of the stuff that Pep's already talked about with creating a wonder. This was actually my idea. This is the Kenlane plan. It was outlined and given sort of to the government by me to build this wonder to bring back two of our apostles. I was the one who sort of not building apostles soon enough to protect us from Russia. So I bring a certain knowledge of how to run religion inside the game to the executive. That will be useful when working with, of course, the religious group inside of the government. I also bring a lack of, I bring an air of legitimacy in the fact that I don't take decoy, I don't take bribes. I don't belong to a party that is in bed with that. I don't belong to a party that condones that, and I think I stand very firmly on a moral position and an ethical position that I don't think anybody else has really separated themselves on in this group. I also bring again organizational labor to it. I'm very organized. I'm very driven, and there isn't going to be a lot of dropping the ball under my leadership. Uh, it happens in past marks, and I've learned from it, and it's something that I've a lot in the past to sort of improve with. And if you look at my track record overall, other than a handful of instances, organization wise, I've been on top at decent. And you can see that in the way the casinos run even now still. And I'm going to bring an air of cooperation amongst the Jarls, regardless of sort of political party. I'm going to facilitate cooperation between them. I've outlined this again in my Kenlane plan. That's on Reddit, not the Kenlane religion plan to bring back our religion. That's two plans with the same name, I know. But I'm going to take the time to help the Jarls organize their thoughts, organize their desires, and organize amongst themselves how to best throughout our country to make the country. It's not going to be 5 cities working independently under my leadership. It's going to be 5 cities working together under my leadership.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for the answer. Um, Peppeghetti, same question. Why do you feel, or what sets you apart from the other candidates that are here before you as well?
All right. Well, I think primarily I have probably more Civ 6 experience than either of them. I'm not certain of that, but I'm pretty sure I do. So, in that aspect, I think having me at the helm would be a very good idea. Um, Also, I say I seem to be focused more on infrastructure and building up our country than either of the other two candidates who have both expressed an interest in increasing the military more so than me.
Okay. Uh, Air King Retro, same question. What sets you apart from the other candidates?
Well, it's well. First off, I have the most direct experience with this game session in general because I've been a part of the executive since High King Sean back in like, April, I believe, and I have been in this position uh, to influence High King policies longer than any one of them. Yeah, and also I stand for. uh,
All right,
oh
thank you
yeah,
very much.
damn it. Okay,
Oh,
thank
was
you.
that? Did you have more to add? I apologize.
I was, but then I
Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, no. I was gonna say I stand for a continuation of High King Sean's and your leadership.
Wonderful. Thank you. So we have one question in the chat I'd like to ask to all candidates from Don San, uh, and we'll start again with Kenlane. Will you participate in political disputes involving any current parties in a divisive manner?
I don't see how I could be divisive as somebody who is an independent. I only see myself as a person who I don't have a dog in the fight, right? When two parties are going at each other, I just need to make sure that things are functioning and running on a day to day basis. That's my, mediating the disputes. I am open to that, but I think a lot of disputes need to be mediated by the parties themselves directly before they start bringing it. But no, I will not be divisive between parties.
Wonderful. Thank you for the answer there. And Peppeghetti, same question. Will you participate in political disputes involving any current parties in a divisive manner?
Um, I mean, I that sort of depends on the dispute. I think in some ways you have to be divisive. If one group you think is absolutely in the wrong, then I don't think it's wrong to be divisive about that. I don't intend to get into any of these debates, but yeah, if one party is doing something that I think is wrong, or is accusing another party of doing something that I don't think is wrong, then yeah, I'm willing to jump in on that.
Understood. Thank you very much. And Retro, would you please answer the same question? Will you participate in political disputes involving any current parties in a divisive manner?
That all depends on the dispute itself. Like Pep said, if it's something I truly believe it's wrong or something should be said about it, I would. But generally, I'll try not to stay divisive. And if it's between parties, it should stay between parties, and not be dragged out to the public for everyone to see.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And then I think I had already answered the question. There's a question in the chat. If I would be candidating, I think that's how you say that. Why would you vote for me and why would you not vote for me? Um, I think we already kind of answered that in explaining why, why you're more experienced or whatever, what have you, than the other candidates. So I'll open it up to Ken first to ask questions to the other two candidates, and then I'll put a timer on the answers. So Ken, if you can please ask your questions to Peppeghetti and then Retro, and then once Peppeghetti goes, we'll go Retro and Ken and so on.
I don't have a lot of questions. I mean, there's a lot of things that have been said about experience playing the game, and I don't think it's fair to ask questions about that because we've all played a lot of Civ 6. We all own the game. We all play it fairly regularly. And five. I guess my question for the two of them is, what do you see your role as in the government as the High King beyond just the person playing the game? Because you both seem to rely for your campaign, your experience in game and running the game. But where else do you see your role in government coming into play, and how do you plan to affect your will and change in the government as High King?
Does this go to me now?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, most of the role of the High King is in playing the game. That's why I sort of focused on that. Um, there's been talk, for example, in the past about the National Assembly, um, and how to sort of kick the Storting into gear regarding not passing laws that are needed. Um, I think that's sort of more up to the Scald to deal with. Um, there is the tool that the High King has where you can dissolve the NA. I'm willing to do that, but I think largely I don't see the High King's role as being too much outside of actually playing the game, doing what the will of the people is. I don't see the High King's role so much as fiddling with the Storting or other parts of government. I think that half answered your question. Uh, if if you'd like me to clarify anything, I guess, or if I skip part of it, uh, let me know.
Kenlane, do you have anything do you like to add to that, or did he answer it
I think that's a fine answer. Absolutely fine position.
wonderful? Okay. Retro, do you need Kenlane to repeat the question, or do you have it?
It's what's the role of the High King, right? That's the question.
Ken,
Okay.
can you confirm
Yeah,
that?
that would be the question. What is the role of the High King in government beyond just playing the game?
Okay.
Oh, beyond playing the game, the role of the High King should be making sure everything's working in proper order so he could do his main job of playing the game. The storing multiple times in the past has been negligent at best at making sure that happens, and we have seen game sessions canceled due to the fact that the story hasn't passed anything, and that doesn't allow the High King to do anything other than like a zero-turn session, which no one wants to see. So I personally believe that as High King, I'll do all I can, including but not limited to dissolving the National Assembly if need be, to make sure I could play the game and progress the game forward and move everything forward without story interruption.
Wonderful. Great answer. Uh, Peppeghetti will now move on to you. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask the other candidates, or something you'd like to comment on?
Not offhand. Is there going to be another potential round of this, or
Uh,
is this my one shot? Is
well,
this?
we've actually got two good questions in the chat. So
I
after
noticed
I
that.
ask Retro the question, the same question I just asked you, then we can go back around in case Retro doesn't have anything either.
Okay. I don't think I have anything.
Okay. Uh, Retro, do you have anything you'd like to question the other candidates with, or any clarifications, comments?
I would like to ask, since you guys both have a general plan what's going on, what happens if something sporadic happens that deviates from your guys' plan?
Okay, Kenlin, we'll start with you.
The question's somewhat vague. You say sporadic, and I assume you don't mean like the volcano erupting because that seems to happen fairly
No,
frequently.
no, no, no. Of course not.
I assume you mean like a Civ declares some crazy war on us of reclamation over the Russian territory,
Yeah, of
or
course, something like that.
we
Nothing
lose a
like natural
city. You lose a
disasters.
city to foreign influence. Yeah, you have to you have to draw on your experience playing Civ at that point. And Pep has talked a lot about his experience. I'm gonna tout mine now too. You know, I play a lot of Civ. I played Civ 6. I've played a game of Civ 6 as Norway at this point. Um, I've played a lot of Civ. Uh, I kind of have an idea of knowing what to do in those situations. Like I came up with the plan to bring our religion back. I knew what to do because we didn't have a religion or we had lost our religion in all of our cities to find a way to get those apostles. I will, though, myself with other experienced players and weigh their input very heavily. It's not going to be just me. I'm going to make sure I have sounding board checks on myself to make sure that I can do the job the best that I can do the job. It's not just the best that I can do the job alone, but the best I can do the job with the resources I have around me in terms of other players and people in the executive.
Wonderful answer. Thank you very much. Okay, so I've actually got a couple questions here in the chat I'd like to ask you guys, and then we'll open it back up in case you guys have
But
anything you'd
what
like to add.
about
Well, you
me?
said that you didn't have anything, so I was going to go to the
No,
chat
but
and then go back to you.
retro asked a question
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
he
he
gets the
totally did.
answer still.
though.
Peppeghetti is allowed to answer. I'll allow it. Go ahead.
All right. I mean, my answer is going to be pretty similar to Ken's in that you sort of have to roll with the punches. So one thing I said, for example, is that I don't intend to upscale our military. But if, for whatever reason, a bunch of musket men start parading into the continent, then we're going to have to. Um, I think it's about as straightforward as that. Like Ken said, you just draw on your experience with the game, do what you have to do. And yeah, I don't anticipate anything like that happening, of course, but you never know. So yeah, I guess that's it.
Wonderful. Thank you for the answer. So we're gonna open this back up to the chat. So let's see here. Um, Great question asked, and again, starting with Kenlane, what victory condition would you love to see in this mark, and no whatever the people want as an answer? So please give somewhat of a
Oh,
definitive answer,
I let me give you the definitive answer, and then I'll explain why I don't like the other ones as well quite as much.
by all means.
I want to see a religious victory because it's brand new to Civ 6. That is the definitive answer. I don't like domination victory because I feel like, especially in the later stages of the game, although there is a certain amount of stealing cities through influence that I do enjoy playing with. Cultural and scientific victory had those in Civ 5. Cultural work different here, so it would be nice to play with, but I think I really want to see a religious victory because that is brand spanking new to Civ 6, and I think it would be a great way for us to finish our first Civ 6 mark.
Wonderful answer. Thank you very much. Peppeghetti, same question. If you need it repeated, please let me know.
All right. So as part of the Cloud9 party, our platform basically says that we support cultural and diplomatic victories. As of right now, I think a diplomatic victory is probably more feasible. It's a nice, peaceful way to win. It's a nice, non-aggressive victory condition, and it's not new in the same way that the religious victory is. But for people who've primarily played Civ 6, it'll be a new victory condition for those people since it's new to Gathering Storm, and it works differently than it did in previous games as well. So uh, that's my answer.
Wonderful answer. Thank you very much. Retro, same question. If you need me to repeat it, please let me know.
That's okay. I haven't put too much thought into what victory conditions we're going through. I was thinking most likely we're probably going to do scientific again, but personally, religious would be fun because it's a nice story. Say, oh, our religion almost died, but then it became to dominate the world. So yeah, like Ken said, religious will be fun, but I'll lean towards scientific, cultural, and religious personally.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you all for the answers. Um, the next question from 2D Moss. The last two have been from 2D Moss. Um, would you sacrifice winning, in quotations, the Civ game over story slash RPG and immersion? Meaning, would you sacrifice optimal gameplay in order to progress the story or kind of RP it a bit?
Thank you for the questions, 2D Moss. I have to say, I'm not doing a whole lot as an independent. I haven't picked a party. I haven't committed. I haven't done the world building that I did in Mark IV with Kenlane PI. Um, I think I am fairly committed to optimal gameplay and pushing the sorting into optimal gameplay. Again, I think the part of the way I'm going to do this is uh, the organizational labor that I'm going to bring to the High King position, where I do plan to sorting after the game sessions and tell them, here's what I need for next week explicitly, possibly even writing things for them in terms of bills that they need to pass. And again, I plan to go and sit down with Jarls and work with Jarls and every single state to make sure that they have every single week. So I am really going to be pushing for cooperation towards some sort of organized, functional gameplay above any sort of LARPy type of. Uh, uh, so I would say yes. I'm not going to sacrifice winning for story in this current mark, or at least not right now. If I come up with a great story that I love, if Ken Lane PI2 Electric Boogaloo happens, you never know. But I'm not there right now.
Wonderful answer. Thank you very much. Peppeghetti, same question. If you need it repeated, please let me know.
Yeah, I think it depends on how much sacrifice to the immersion it is. So if we need a domination victory, I've been pretty committed to not being overly aggressive. So if we need a domination victory, I'm probably not going to do it. Um, on the other hand, while I do pretty explicitly support a cultural or diplomatic victory, if a scientific victory is imminent, then yeah, I'm open to that. Um, so to a certain extent, yes, but I'd like to not sacrifice too much of the story or immersion.
Okay, understood. And Retro, same question to you.
All right. Personally, I wouldn't sacrifice the game over some RP thing. Like for example, I wouldn't say, "Oh, we're right next to a diplomatic victory," but RP wise, the party became some sort of isolationist thing that we said no, no more foreign relations, just us, or something like that. Then I would most likely go for the victory rather than the RP because I think that I'm more moving the game forward rather than some minor thing that only happens in Discord, honestly. So, but I wouldn't. But how am I going to rephrase it? I'm up for RP, but I'm not willing to sacrifice the game over it.
Understood. Very good clarification. Thank you. Um, I have another question here from Westgut. This one's specifically to Kenlane, but I'd also like to ask the other two candidates and modify the question. Um, so to Ken, Westgut asked, do you feel your lack of political allies in the Storting will negatively affect your ability to govern effectively? And he added the qualifier political allies, meaning mostly party members.
Yeah, I think he's overestimating how few political allies I have in the sorting. I don't have a party backing me officially, but I do have allies in most parties. I cooperate with every party just about. It could be an issue. You're right. That very easily could be an issue, and it'd be interesting to see how I'd have to handle that. It would certainly make the High King position. I don't expect it, but if it does happen, and if it happens in specifically the NA, I always have the power to dissolve them, call for special elections. If it happens in the state assembly, then clearly I need to engage with the representative for and their states that aren't cooperating with me a little bit more. Would be the go past the representatives in the state assembly and talk to their constituents to try to push them to cooperate or at least come to some compromise.
Wonderful answer. Thank you. Um, and a wonderful answer from your cat as well. Uh, Peppeghetti, I'm going to modify the question since this was specifically directed towards Kenlane, but I also feel that we can maybe modify this towards you and Retro. Um, the question, do you feel that your lack of party activity is going to be negative for you in the Storting? As in, to the best of my knowledge, you currently have 14 in the legislature, 14, 1135, I believe, and Fem America is the Jarl of Stavanger. So that leaves you with one member of the Storting. I could be wrong about the number. However, with a smaller party, do you feel that that'll negatively impact your term as king?
Um, no, I don't, because as I say, I'm sort of sticking more to the gameplay side of things. I'm not going to be interacting too much with the legislature unless I feel like I have to. I'm sort of going to let them do their own thing. I don't want to interfere with that. Um, so unless there's some really aggressive people in the Storting who try to regulate me very aggressively, I don't think I'm going to have too much of a problem with the Storting personally. So
Okay. Let's see here. Retro, it's the same question to you mostly. Um, you currently have in your party, Don San is the Scald, I believe. If he'll be Scald again next term, who knows? Um, but your party mostly comprises of yourself as well as two other members, and the recent fallout with the theocratic fundamentalists and the splitting of many states, leaving a couple more state assembly members. However, it leaves most parties weak in the sorting. Do you believe this will be an issue for you during your tenure should you be elected?
As long as the story doesn't try to overregulate me, I think it should, or try and mess with gameplay in any way, shape, or form. I shouldn't really affect my High King termship. Once again, I'm focusing more on gameplay this time around because most of the power of the High King
Okay.
relies on gameplay, like Pep said.
Mm,
But um, as long as they don't try and mess with me, I won't mess with them.
okay. Um, very good answer. And we are going to look at the next question if you guys still have some time. Let's see here. We've got a bunch of questions here. Um, Starting again with Kenlane. How much time can you commit to being High King, say per week?
Well, let's count. I usually spend about 2 hours a night or so in the casino working on back end stuff. So there's that. That's 14 hours a week. I have a little extra time on the weekends. I could conceivably see me doing 15 to 20 hours a week to get additional stuff done. Excuse me. To get all that organizational stuff done that I've said I want to optimize how the government. I see the king again as more than just gameplay. You're the point person between the sorting between the Jarls and between between the sorting and the Jarls and the people in some sense, where you have to talk to them to figure out what they want to do, what their constituents want to do in the game, and make it so that that happens efficiently. I think it's more than just showing up once a week, streaming a session, and having it be somewhat chaotic because people are either getting their lists in, they're not getting their lists. They're getting their build queues or whatever in if they're a Jarl or they're not. Um, I really think you have to do more organizational labor than that. And so I'm willing to commit to that 15, 20 hours a week.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Peppeghetti informed us that he's grabbing some food real quick and he's going to be right back. So we'll skip him and go right to Retro. Retro, how many hours can you conceivably see yourself dedicating to being High King a week?
Saying that I'm currently in summer break and have no plans as of the term, yeah, around 15, 20 hours a week seems reasonable to me too. Just as Ken said.
Wonderful. Thank you. Uh, and then we're not going to wait for Peppeghetti to return. We're going to continue. So we have, let's see here. Got that question. 2D Moss has asked most of these questions. 2D Moss, shout out to you. Doing a great job. 2D Moss again asks, what can you do as High King to engage more people into Democraciv and participate themselves? Starting with Ken.
Form of weekly forum would not be unreasonable. I said I was going to go talk to Jarls and their citizens. I think every state has its own Discord. I would probably join those and engage those citizens directly. I think uh, very keen on encouraging new people who are just joining now, to find positions inside the executive uh, that they can fulfill. Uh, I was a diplomat for a while. Somebody, in order to do screenshots, somebody should keep track of sort of what happens with gold from turn to turn to see if it's going up, if it's going down. And then I think I would also encourage them to get more involved with parties. Uh, I would encourage them to uh, I would be their sounding board and one of their cheerleaders from the high, and I wouldn't shy away from hiring them into the executive roles either, or even appointing them to
Oh,
desire to do that.
so if
So,
if if you could please repeat just really quickly the main point, only because you seem to be cutting out a bit.
uh, sorry. So I guess the main point is I would strong involve by taking positions in the executive. I'll be hiring positions there, or if they want to be in the Supreme Court, letting me know so that I can nominate them for that. I believe the question was about people have a political necessarily do that, but I would strongly encourage them to find appointment positions inside the government, and I would help to make those positions and get them into them.
Wonderful, thank you. And Peppeghetti has returned, so we're going to ask the question, what can you do as High King to engage more people into Democraciv and participate themselves?
One thing I've been thinking about is at the end of the stream doing a little quick overview of things, and posting a link in channels in Discord with the timestamp specifically there, because what it seems like is that a lot of people aren't watching the streams. So the screenshots are nice, but I just think like a little quick overview at the end that people can watch in a fairly short period of time would be good. I'm also hoping to do slightly shorter streams. A 2 hour or 2.5 hour stream or whatever we've been doing, they're kind of a hassle to watch. So like it's a big time investment. So shortening it down to maybe hour and a half with a little quick summary at the end. And specifically with that, I want to go over every city and go specifically over things that can be built in those cities, because I think that'll be a big help for the Jarls. I know when I was a Jarl, that was something it was sort of a pain trying to find the last time in the streams that your city uh, build queue was brought up. So I think that would be really useful to get the Jarls sort of in a better place as far as understanding the current state of the game. Of course, there's appointments. I think I heard Ken talking about, so that's I think pretty standard. I think we're all going to be careful with our appointments, appointing people who we think are good for the job. But other than that, like I've said about 5 times now, I'm going to sort of try and stay out of the Storting's business unless I feel like I need to get involved. I'm just going to do my own thing.
Understood. Thank you. And then Retro, same question to you. Do you need me to repeat it?
No, I'm fine. But before I answer, can I point out 2 corrections? Is that fine?
Sure, go ahead.
Correction 1, Don San is running for the National Assembly now, so he can't be SCAD for next term.
Got it.
And correction 2, Supreme Court nominees, law speaker nominees, nominate themselves through Reddit, and the only time the High King can actually appoint a nominee is when law speaker resigns. It's just a quick correction, more of a clarification. But
Understood.
anyway, as for user participation through streams, what you've been doing with interacting chat, I think that's important. Brings more personality to streams themselves. Short stream will be nice. Going through 2 hours is hell, even if for the streamer. Not gonna lie. Personally, revival high council. That's always nice. Having like people around you make for like a second opinion. That's always nice. And honestly, it's just advertising what we are, yeah, who we are, and what you can do, and make sure people apply for jobs, people go to parties, people just talk and be active and have fun in their own way. I believe will drive user interaction with democracy for general.
Wonderful. Okay. So we're gonna look. I will ask you guys maximum 2 more questions. That sound alright to everybody?
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Wonderful. Okay, so real quick clarifier. Westgut would like to ask Pep specifically, how can you focus on gameplay without working with the sorting if they control large aspects of gameplay?
Well, I don't think you have to work directly with the starting with regards to that. You can work within the framework that they set. I don't necessarily want the High King to be in charge of too much. I like the idea of sort of diffusing the power as much as you can. So I don't think I necessarily have to work with them to work within the framework that they set, if that makes sense. I think that's
Makes sense.
about my answer.
Understood. Thank you. So, we're down to the last 2 questions. So, again from 2D Moss, how long can you see yourself as High King, assuming you would be re-elected over and over? So, assuming you never lost an election, how long could you see yourself serving as the High King? Starting with Ken.
That's a really good question. Bob has set terms. I think involving, I think can give you a bit of a headache if they don't manner to let you have game sessions. I think can give you a hard time their job done to help more smoothly. And I think if you want game sessions, it becomes a bit of a problem. I don't want to put a firm cap,
Oh,
but on 2 turn
Ken,
max.
Ken, you're breaking up pretty badly.
That is quite strange. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you just fine now.
Okay, hold on a second. I think there's some tape on my mic or something. All right,
Wonderful.
now you can hear me, right?
Yep.
All right, so I guess the
Oh,
answer is Bob has set a great precedent of 2 terms. Yes,
yeah, 2 terms.
2 terms. There's a lot of burning, especially if the sorting or people in the executive
Oh boy.
coordinating with you as much as they could be. So if the executive and the sorting aren't coordinating with you, there's a lot of burnout involved. I hard cap on it, but I think it would probably be 2 terms max, just because I have other things I want to do inside of this iteration of Democraciv before MK5 is over.
Wonderful answer. Thank you. Um, Peppeghetti, same question to you.
Um, I'm not really sure. I'm gonna do the first term, see how that goes, because I found in Democracy there's some stuff that I've enjoyed more than I thought I would, and some stuff that I've enjoyed less than I thought I would. So, oh, 2D just asked a question. 1 term is 4 weeks. Um, that's not something we're all gonna answer. But
Oh yeah,
anyway,
I
sorry.
answered in
Okay.
check. Go continue.
So okay. So yeah, I did a little bit of. I think I did half a term on the ministry last mark, which is similar but not at all the same. This is a much more active role
Mhm.
in the gameplay. So I'm not really sure. I guess is the best answer I'd give. After my first term, I think be able to give a better answer to that.
Understood. Fair enough. Retro, if you could answer the same question, please.
Personally and RP wise, I will love to see myself re-elected over and over again throughout the entire mark. But since I have real life responsibilities, I don't foresee myself going past 2 terms. Personally, unless something like major happens or that somehow requires me to run for a third term, but that I'm planning to stop at 2.
Understood. Thank you. Okay. So this is going to be the last question here for each candidate. Uh, Kenlane, this doesn't necessarily apply to you, but maybe you can provide some insight on how you feel about this question. How far will you push your own party's ideological opinion? Will you put your own opinion over the will of the legislature? And how about the people?
Well, look, I don't have a party, and I'm hoping my mic thing is working out right now for you all.
It is.
I don't have a party, but I'm running the casino, and I think for me, there's a certain amount of disconnect from personal interests that I'm going to take to the job. When you're in a party, you sort of have to toe the party line ideologically. I don't have to toe the casino line ideologically, so clearly it's different. Um, but yeah, I'm in question. I'm curious to see how far they take it. If I had a party, I'm a bit of a rogue, so I think I would probably not toe it very hard, and I suspect Pep is going to give a similar answer since he's a two-party ticket where the down party part of the ticket is going to be the and the Pirates. Yeah, it's a good question. Definitely, it's something that they should think about.
All right. Thank you very much. Peppeghetti, if you could please answer the same question.
Um, sure. So I mean, I think like Ken mentioned, the fact that I'm running as part of the C9, and I've got Tiberius, who's part of the Pirate Party, on the ticket with me. I'm pretty open to discussion with other parties. I'm pretty open to a certain amount of what's the word? Concession? Not quite that, but anyway, a certain amount of cooperation. Thanks, Ken. A certain amount of cooperation. Of course, sometimes there are fundamental differences that you can't get past, but when possible, yeah, I'm open to cooperation with parties with different views. Again, the pirate party is, for example, much more takes a much more aggressive stance when it comes to war than we do. But I'm willing to work with him on that. So I guess that would be my answer to that.
Wonderful. Okay, and then Retro, if you could please answer the same question.
I would. Hmm, how would I answer this? I'm open to cooperations as I've been in joint tickets in the past with the theocrats specifically and space communists. Ironically, when they were still a thing, but I would most of the time take personal view over party views, which mostly align, but with my views, but sometimes they deviate, and that's when conversations happen. But I'm willing to have conversations with people from all over the political spectrum and the political divide we see in the meta
Mhm.
to find out what's best for the game in general.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for your answers. We had a lot of chat interaction here today. I really appreciate you all coming out. And if you guys would like to say something here and just to close it out, just a short, sweet statement to to put a bow on everything you've said today, starting with Ken, and then I believe that'll end the session.
I mean, look, I just want to thank you all for doing this again. I think it's a great thing for the community, and I hope it continues. I guess the takeaway, the one line message that I'm trying to say to the voters is I want to create peace and prosperity that allows us domination of our continent's economics, religion. Uh, we need to control our continent. We're the only ones there. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ken. Peppeghetti, please.
Yeah. So also, I'd like to thank everyone here for coming talking about this stuff. Um, I'd like to remind everyone my Discord avatar is King DDD. He's got King in the name. I think I deserve this. I think everyone owes me this. I'm kidding, but you should actually vote for me.
Fair enough. And the never joking Peppeghetti, so take everything he says seriously. Retro, if you could please just give us a closing statement, put a bow on everything you've said today.
All right. I'd like to thank everyone for showing up. It's been a really, really long time since we had an actual debate like this. I think we haven't had an actual debate since Mark IV, and that was back when Espresso still did things.
That was at the
So it's
beginning
really,
of Mark IV. Sorry for
yeah,
cutting in, but
no, that's fine. And it's really nice to see this coming back because I think this will really revitalize the community, especially with the new influx of players. But if the one takeaway that you should be is that I'm for securing what we fought for during the Russo-Norwegian War, which was domination of our. We're fighting Russian influence from Norwich, from our culture and our uh, civilization. So now it's time to secure the continent and secure what's rightfully ours.
Wonderful. Well, thank you everybody again for joining me here today. I'd love to continue doing these as moderator for the foreseeable future, and best of luck to each candidate. You all were very professional today, and I just want to thank you again for showing up.
all right. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Bob.
Thank you. All right, have a good
Good
day,
luck,
guys.
everyone.
See you later.
See ya. All right, everybody. So that there is going to end the stream. This will be recorded, posted on the Democraciv YouTube. If you're showing up here and you have no idea what the heck is going on, please visit reddit.com/r/democraciv. There's a Discord link up there as well. And again, the YouTube is just Democraciv. So if anybody wants to go back and hear anything that they may have missed, go to the YouTube Democraciv, where this will be posted here pretty soon. And please remember to register to vote. That's how you can go and vote for these fine candidates that spent their time here and were gracious enough to give their time. And again, thank you all for allowing me to do this for you. And we can't wait to see you on election day. Have a good day.